Welcome to another edition of the Pacers Pride Podcast. I'm your disappointed host, Cody Emerson, and alongside my jubilant co-host, Dylan Deanhart. The reason I say that is because the Ohio State-Purdue game was last night, and we are on opposite ends of the spectrum. Me being a Buckeye fan, I'm really not happy right now. But Dylan, I'll give you the floor for the opening, monologue, and give your Boilermakers a shout out because it was a very good game. You deserved to win. You played better than we did, obviously.
Going into this, I had tempered expectations of we have a decent team. I know we can compete. I know this is a Pacers podcast, but I don't have any other way to vent this to a national audience, so I'm going to just do it here. But it was just a fantastic game on all ends. One game that kind of just resembled the hardships that all Purdue fans have pretty much gone through for the last 5 years or so. Our last coach won us 7 games in 4 years, 4 of which were against FCS opponents. So it's safe to say that this game is a very, very welcomed amongst Purdue fans, and especially you, Tyler Trent, if you're listening.
That was of course, I don't mean to bash him or anything, but of course, something would happen when we troll into town with Purdue. No, I mean, that was a good cause that obviously that Purdue was doing, and we just weren't ready. We can't run the ball to save our lives, and
Antonio Blackman deserved everything.
Dwayne Haskins, I think, almost threw the ball 75 times. Yeah. So, but I mean, do what you got to do. Or see where we fall in the Big Ten, or in the standings, probably low in the top 10, but
we don't get a break. We go to East Lansing next week.
Hey, I mean, if you can compete with us for 4 quarters, you can compete with almost anyone in the Big Ten, in my opinion.
Maintain the same energy.
That's
our big concern.
Well, let's get into some Pacers talk, actually.
Yes.
But that was just a little opening statement by Dylan, and because well-deserved win for Purdue. But we're going to talk Pacers basketball, obviously, because that's what we're here to do. We are going to start with the Miles Turner contract extension because we haven't got to talk about that yet on the show. So Miles Turner, before the regular season actually started, I believe, signed a 4-year, $72 million guaranteed contract. I think he can earn up to $80 million. So coming in, I know we touched on this last year a little bit as far as would he re-sign and how much money would he ask for and how much would the Pacers be willing to give him. So roughly around $18 to $20 million per year. And I love the fact that he's back. So we finally got the big man locked up. Dylan, I'm presuming that you're happy that we gave him this extension.
Yeah, I'm happy that we kept him. We solidified our young core for the most part now with Miles now locked up. I think for the majority of our young pieces are now, I don't think we have any expiring next year except for Thad and Darren. Those are the 2 big ones, I think, that are leaving us this year. But other than that, most of our young core are locked up for a long period of time now. I will admit I was a little surprised it was this early. I thought they were going to wait a little bit, maybe throughout the middle of the season, just to see how he performs. Just because if he didn't meet the expectations that most Pacers media and what? Are you looking?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Go ahead. I thought it would come later in the year, maybe in the second half of the season. But still well deserved, I think. Even the first couple games of the season so far, he's been performing pretty well, attacking the rebounds, which is one of the big complaints amongst him. So, hopefully he deserves it, and we'll see more of Miles for the next 4 years. So.
Yeah. The one thing I will mention though is now that he has this money, he kind of has to, I think, to be that consistent second fiddle to Vic. Because on our NBA show for Cardinal Sports Live, I actually predicted that Miles would be most improved because he had a down year last year, only getting I think around close to 13 points per game.
4 or 5 rebounds.
And I think it was like close to 6 maybe, but that's Sabonis led us in rebounding coming off the bench, which looking like he may do again this year with his early rebounding, which we'll get into. But I think this kind of puts some pressure on him to perform, because if he doesn't, Pacers fans, because we see what we have in Sabonis coming off the bench, so maybe they'll say, oh, trade Miles if he doesn't like perform to the contract and stuff like that. Do you think there's like added pressure with this contract, or?
I want to say it's not pressure, just because I don't think. I mean, they obviously could trade him at any point. I don't think there's a no trade clause in this at all, but
I wouldn't believe so.
I think it does provide a little bit of pressure, the fact that they are expecting him to be worth this money at the very least. So the fact that he's getting $72 million maybe lights a fire under him maybe a little bit, but we'll see. I think he's worthy of the deal, and I don't think it'll put too much pressure on him, because I think this is what he just expects to be. So,
yeah. So Miles got locked up. I'm really happy to see that, because it was one of the major kind of issues coming into the regular season was how much are we going to be willing to pay him, and Kevin Pritchard and Nate McMillan and the organization said we think he's worth around $18 to $20 million per year, which I think's fairly accurate given the market now. I mean, heck, bet just
big
4 or
man
5
market.
years ago, Timothy Mozgov got like 15 to 16 million per year, I think.
Was it that
But
4-year, $100 million deal?
Something ridiculous like that he got from the Lakers. I don't even know where he's at now.
Yeah.
But so
he's not with the Cavs anymore. I don't even
is he in? He may be in Brooklyn. I don't know where he is, but excuse me. We are actually going to talk some Pacers regular season basketball now, and the Pacers have played 3 games so far. They opened the regular season against the Grizzlies, then traveled to Milwaukee, and then their most recent win came last night against the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to recap all 3 of these games for you, starting obviously with opening night in the Memphis game. The Pacers won the game 111-83, and just basically a really nice team effort all around. No one really dominated the box score. Bojan was the leading scorer with 19 points, followed by Vic with 16. Then you had Tyreek with 14, Sabonis with 14, and so no one, as I said, really stood out and dominated the box score, unless you're looking at Darren Collison, who had 0 points in 21 minutes. He only took 5 shots, but had 5 assists, and he also was battling foul trouble most of the night.
Yeah.
Thad in double figures, so it was a great. They were calling it a great team win. I was watching, I think, the post-game show with Kristen Arian, Quinn Buckner, and Jeremiah Johnson, and those guys. Just a great overall team win for opening night. Wouldn't you say, Dylan?
Yeah, I thought it was a very, very good win. I did not expect them to come out this hot to begin the season. I will say, sorry, that's my mom. But I could not get more of Tyreek Evans and Domantas Sabonis off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like some kind of porn watching that. It was magnificent. Tyreek was just dishing it to Sabonis for easy dunks. And then Sabonis likewise to Tyreek in the corner for threes. It was something magical, and it makes me very confident about our bench. That's something we did not have last year, which is consistent scoring and consistent playmaking. On top of that, Bojan looked very good to start the game, scoring first 6 points, I believe, finishing with 19, making all of his threes. Kind of a quiet game from Victor. He got in foul trouble, I believe, early on, which kind of hindered his playing. And other than that, Miles had a good game. He had finished with 8 rebounds, which was a good sign for all Pacers fans. Domantas Sabonis, although outshined him, with 15 rebounds. Whoops.
Hey, we're not filtered.
Yeah, well,
it's fine.
Yeah. So altogether, there's a very good win against a rather porous Memphis Grizzlies team. They never really got the ball, like their offense rolling. They just could not get any kind of scoring looks. Pacers defense was smothering them from start to finish. So
see, that's the biggest takeaway that I took away. I kind of knew I expected the offense to be there, but because this Memphis team, they have weapons in Mike Conley and Marc Gasol.
Granted, it was Mike Conley's first game back.
Yeah,
in a long time with injury. So.
And I was kind of Jaren Jackson off the bench from we both know.
Yeah.
At the rookie out of Michigan State. Chandler Parsons is finally healthy again. So they had some offensive weapons, but since it's their first game, probably not quite where they'd like to be.
Yeah.
You talk about Marc Gasol went 2 of 11, Mike Conley 3 of 11, Garrett Temple 4 of 13, Chandler Parsons 3 of 9. Altogether, you're not going to win a basketball game when you're shooting around 29%.
Yeah.
From the field. So credit the Pacers defense in huge part. Speaking of the Pacers defense, I was scrolling through Twitter as the game was going on, and Tony East tweeted out, keep in mind Victor had not get a steal yet, and so that steals record I can't even remember where
I
it
think
was.
it snapped at 70 games, I think. I don't know.
I can't remember. I'd have to look it up or something, but his steals record per game, or not steals per game, getting a steal in each
At least
game.
A steal per game.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say right there. Was snapped in this one, but that's no one cares really about that. But yeah, you mentioned Sabonis. 15 boards. I did not expect. I expected him to kind of grab anywhere in the neighborhood between 7 and 10.
Yeah.
But just grabbing every board that he got 6 offensive rebounds too. So him crashing the glass. Miles Turner had 3 offensive rebounds. So kind of, and as you mentioned, 8 rebounds in general. So nice to see him getting the rebounds up.
And 4 blocks.
We know he's an elite shot blocker. Already at I believe 22, 23 years of age.
Yeah.
So that we know his defense is there, and we just need to kind of see the consistent offensive side of things. Doug McDermott, I liked his shoot. He was 1 of 5 from 3, but I mean, he had a nice, I think, tomahawk jam.
Yeah, on a cut from, I think, Tyreek with the assist.
And it was Quinn Buckner, I think, that mentioned it. Yeah, Doug McDermott is a very nice spot-up shooter, but I think Quinn Buckner mentioned it. He will be even more important kind of as a cutter, cutting through the lane and stuff like that. So
it's his off-ball movement that really separates him.
And also what I loved about this game, since it was kind of a blowout, we got to see Aaron Holiday and Edmund Sumner and guys like Kyle O'Quinn get some minutes at the end of the game. Aaron Holiday, I was watching, and he came into the game, it was not a good shot attempt. I'm not going to lie. It was very contested, but the bank was kind to him, and it was open, and he banked it in.
First career basket.
So, yeah, first career basket, a contested bank shot 3. So, and then Edmund Sumner, who played in his first NBA game in the last game of last season, who lit up the preseason, which we haven't even talked about, which unfortunately we just don't have enough time to talk about the preseason and the play of him. Kyle O'Quinn got some minutes, so it was a great team win all around as the Pacers shot 56.6%, so roughly 57%.
Yeah.
Like to see that offensive output. So that moved them, obviously, to just 1-0 on the regular season. Then they kind of got a little bit of a wake-up call, maybe, I would say.
On our first road trip.
Yeah, the first road game of the year was not kind to the Pacers as they traveled to it's not the Bradley Center anymore because they debuted a new...
Is it their new arena?
Yeah, it's a new arena in Milwaukee. And I don't know exactly what it's called off the top of my head. I don't know either. They faced Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks, and was not really that good of a game, to be quite honest. The Bucks won this one.
Festival for him, by the way. I'm just looking at a replay, and it says it on the court. But there you go.
Yeah, the Fizerv? There's a V at the end, so I'm not going to try and pronounce that because I'll butcher it knowing me.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Bucks won this game 118-101. Was not really, as we were talking about, a good game. Overall, Vic had 25, so he got carried the scoring load for the Pacers. And here we go with talking about Bojan Bogdanovic. I know it's only the second game, so I'm not gonna ridicule the guy just yet.
It's just the second, yeah.
So, but he only had 3 points and was 0 of 7 on the night. Miles was 5 of 12, 11 points. Here we go again, only 4 boards. But we're not gonna bash anyone in this the first month of the NBA season, because it's kind of like a feeling out process type thing.
Yeah.
Sabonis had 12 off the bench.
Including a poster on who was it? Was it Brook Lopez? That's right. He absolutely posterized Brook Lopez on a dunk.
Yeah, I wasn't able to. When was this game? Was it Thursday?
I think so, yeah. It was a day after because we played on Wednesday.
Yeah, so it would have been a Friday.
Yeah,
I was at work, so I don't think I was able to watch much of this game. But the Bucks just credit to them. Giannis had 26 and 15 rebounds. Chris Middleton, as we were talking about before the show, was probably the X factor with 23.
5 and 9 from 3.
Yeah, when I was saying the Bucks channeled their inner Houston Rockets as they took 46 threes, made 17 of them, shot 47% overall.
Did you see the shot chart that Tony East tweeted out?
I don't think so. I'd have to go back.
The entire Milwaukee Bucks shot chart was either outside the arc or down the paint. There were at most like 10 shots in mid-range. Like, it was insane.
It doesn't surprise me, really.
Yeah.
But some things the Pacers can clean up in this game. Dylan, obviously, at 17 turnovers is not going to get you the dub on most nights.
We've had a bit of a turnover issue. We had 20 against Memphis. Thankfully, that wasn't as highlighted as it was now. But, 17 turnovers is really not good, especially when each person in the starting lineup at least had one. Darren Collison, the guy who had very little turnovers last year, had the most or tied for the most with 3 on the team. Other than that, fouls also became a very prevalent issue. Thad and Vic both were in some sort of foul trouble, which forced 2 of our big offensive threats on the starting lineup to go to the bench early. Quiet game on the bench, too, for Tyreek, finishing 4 of 10. Sabonis only finishing with 12 points on 4 of 6 shooting, but I would have liked to see him get more offensive looks, especially with the Miles struggling and as well as Thad. But Doug McDermott had a pretty good game, finishing with 4 points, 4 of 6 from 3.
14. You said 4.
4 of 6 from 3.
Oh, I thought.
14 points.
Oh, okay. I'm still trying to wake up. I guess.
I would have liked to, since Bojan was struggling. Now that we have a backup, I would have loved to have seen maybe McMillan go to McDermott for more stretches, since Bojan was a little bit cold from the field. That might have helped us a little bit, get in a little bit of an offensive flow with Doug instead of Bojan. But it's still young. He's still trying to figure out rotation, so I'm not going to put too much blame on anybody yet. It's just an early season hiccup, I think.
Yeah, and we talked about it. These two teams are just going to be battling for the Central Division. For much of the regular season, we'll see the Bucks 3 more times.
Also, we got Alize Johnson's first basket in his NBA career.
I mean, so even in a blowout,
and he finished with 3 rebounds in 4 minutes. So
he's
a monster.
Yeah, we know he loves to crash the glass. So, like we said, kind of an early season hiccup against a talented Milwaukee Bucks roster. So we'll we will see, as I said, the Bucks 3 more times and see how these division matchups play out, because it's going to be key in seeing and playoff seeding and to see who eventually gets crowned the Central Division champs, because these 2 teams are basically the only 2 that I could
except for
see.
Cleveland and Tristan Thompson.
My fault. I forgot about Tristan Thompson. But the Bucks just played a better game than the Pacers, so they were able to get the victory. Pacers fall to 1-1. However, they were able to rebound against a subpar,
figuratively.
Yeah, against a subpar Brooklyn Nets team last night, and so the Pacers ended up winning this game 132-112. Just an offensive output. Vic once again was the catalyst of the offense. He finished with 25. This was the Pacers had let all 5 starters score in double figures, and that was good to see. Then Pacers had 9 guys score in double figures. Off the bench, you had Doug McDermott, Kyle O'Quinn, who was filling in for Sabonis.
Oh, no, okay.
Sabonis, I think, is dealing with a mild ankle injury. I don't know the full status on that, but so it was good for. It was a good signing by the Pacers, obviously, to have Kyle
O'Quinn
in
flawlessly.
Mm-hmm. And then Corey Joseph had 12, and Tyreek off the bench had 15. The Pacers shot 16 of 24 from 3, so when you shoot that much, and, well, that efficiently, not that much, but it was 16 of 24. When you make 16 threes in a game, you're probably going to do pretty well, and shot 55% on the night.
66% from 3, you're going to do pretty well.
Yeah. Well, you could maybe take only a couple and make 66%, but
fair enough.
So, but like we talked about, this was kind of a subpar Brooklyn Nets team, so can't get too high off this win. But we'll take a win nonetheless, won't we?
Yeah, it's good to just have, after a game like against Milwaukee where you get a test against probably one of the top teams in the East, it's nice to come home to a still developing Brooklyn Nets team and get kind of a confidence boost, kind of go back to your basics, see what worked. You saw what didn't work against Milwaukee. You get a chance to go to Brooklyn and say, all right, let's try to fix things. Let's see where it went wrong. Let's try to work our way through our offense against a team that we know we can kind of handle, which is exactly what the Pacers did. They found their offensive rhythm again. They found their balance. Vic kind of is starting to get into form now with back-to-back 25-point games. Now it's just the rest of the team trying to get their footing offensively, which happened very well. Doug McDermott, which I think is being very underlooked at this point of the season, is I think he's missed all of 2 shots from the 3-point line in the last 2 games. He finished 4 or 5 from 3 with 12 points. That if he can keep this up, this is going to be a very, very dangerous bench. Just imagine Tyreek Sabonis pick and roll with Doug just out in the corner. Teams aren't going to know what to do.
Pick your poison, basically.
You want Tyreek to score on a layup? You want Sabonis to score on a 3? Or do you want Doug McDermott to hit you from the corner? So this is a team with a lot of options, and that's just for the bench.
Yeah.
And then the starting lineup is just as deadly with Vic, Bojan, Miles, Darren, and Thad. So this is a team that once it starts getting clicking, which I think is going to happen soon. I see the gears starting to turn in this team. I think this is going to be a very, very dangerous team, and one that we kind of expected to be, but even then, it's kind of surpassing my expectations early on. So,
yeah, this one obviously moved them to 2-1, and I think, like you said, we have weapons all across the board. Starting lineup has that chemistry from last year, which I think it's one of the best chemistries in the league. Probably not up to par with Golden State, but
that's probably the only team.
I mean, the Golden State chemistry, obviously, they have an Olympic roster, basically.
Oh, yeah, they have their Team USA, essentially.
Yeah, but the Pacers, they know each other's strengths, they know each other's weaknesses, they know where each other likes to play and where to get the ball to them, stuff like that. And like you mentioned, Dylan, I think this bench has the potential to be, I don't want to say best in the league, but it's right up there. I would probably say top 5.
I think it's going to be up there with Golden State, with Houston, in terms of the best bench in the league.
Because if Doug McDermott continues to shoot the way he has shot early on, you have Sabonis, who we know is starter caliber, and can start if need be, but nice to have him off the bench grabbing anywhere from 8 to 15 rebounds per game, it seems like now.
As of right now, by the way, sorry to interrupt, but Doug McDermott is shooting 56% from 3 through 3 games.
We'll take it through 3 games.
Yeah.
So then, obviously, I think someone who gets underrated on this bench is Corey Joseph. No one really talks about him and the kind of defense that he provides. I think he's the anchor of the bench as far as defense goes. Then, obviously, we talked about the playmaking and scoring of Tyreek Evans. I was skeptical of him, I guess, in the preseason because he didn't have the best games, but he was still getting his footing. And now, since he's building that chemistry with the bench, and obviously he likes playing with Sabonis because
I mean, who wouldn't?
yeah, I mean, it's because we know one of the strengths of Sabonis is his passing. We obviously
and his pick and roll knowledge.
Yeah, his pick and roll and his passing. That's why I love Sabonis as our kind of second, sixth man, I guess. Yeah. But
can our entire bench win the Sixth Man of the Year award?
I mean, if they continue to play this way, it wouldn't surprise me. But also, real quick, I tweeted it out, I think, a couple days ago. No, it was Friday when I was scrolling through Twitter in class, which probably shouldn't have been doing, but you know what? A writer for ESPN was doing, I think, a Bucks recap of the game, and apparently we have a Greg McDermott on the team. Get your names.
Keep a chip on your shoulder.
Get your names right, please. I'm going into the journalism world, so it's a really pet peeve of mine, especially when you write for a platform like ESPN. You would think
spell check.
Yeah, spell check or just check the roster. But I mean, I don't even get how he came up with Greg. I mean, if he missed one letter in Doug's name, I get that. Yeah. But, dude, spell check, please. Name check, fact check. Sorry, that was my journalism rant for the day. But overall, we talked about the Pacers' offense in this game, just phenomenal. And this Nets team, it has pieces obviously led by D'Angelo Russell. Did not have that great of a game, though, 5 of 16. Karis LeVert led them in scoring.
He's one of my favorite names in the NBA. I don't know why, but like Karis LeVert, it's a fun name to say.
And then Joe Harris had 19 as well. Jared Allen, good. He's a young, promising center, so good to see Miles and O'Quinn kind of shut him. I forgot they had Kenneth Faried.
The Pacers Twitter's favorite player for at least from my opinion, for no reason.
We talked about, I wouldn't mind having Kenneth Faried on the team, but obviously not now. But
he's playing for Brooklyn, right? He's playing for Brooklyn. He had 7 minutes. He was perfect from the field for 7 minutes for Brooklyn. Like they felt so strongly over Jared Dudley. They felt strong that Jared Dudley was performing out Kenneth Faried. I don't understand why Pacers fan Twitter has just a hard on for Kenneth Faried, but that's another story.
But then Spencer Dinwiddie did not shoot it well off the bench. He was up there with Vic, I think, for most improved last year. So kind of good to see him struggle
also
a little bit.
Or did he made the?
He may have.
He made the skills competition.
Oh, but is that really being an all-star though?
If you're in an all-star weekend, I think you're an all-star, but I don't know.
That's a debate for another day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the Pacers sit 2-1 right now, and they have a 3-game road trip ahead of them. Gonna be playing a couple of tough teams. I don't know how well they'll fare against. I know they'll probably get the dub against Cleveland. That's for sure. But as far as the others, we'll see. Especially in this first game, they will have their hands full with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I about said Timberwolves.
Timberwolves.
I mean, basically, it's the Timberwolves at this point with Thibodeau and Derrick Rose and all those guys. This game, as I said, is in Minnesota. It will take place tomorrow at 8 p.m. So, Sabonis right now is listed as day-to-day, so that's good. Jimmy Butler day-to-day but he'll play. I think he led them in scoring in their last win. They are the Timberwolves. I keep about saying Timberwolves because I'm so used to saying that. They're 1-2. Their only win on the year came against the Cavs, barely. So they lost. Oh, good Lord! They lost to the Mavericks in regulation, 140-136.
Yeah.
So they like to put up points. They've scored 136 against Mavs, 131 against Cleveland, and then in their loss to San Antonio, scored 108. So Pacers defense is going to be challenged. Obviously, they going to have to deal with Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns, Jimmy Butler. Obviously, will probably be the main focus. We'll get to see Jeff Teague again.
Yeah,
so
long time no see.
But Dylan, this will probably be another tough test for the Pacers. And how do you see it turning out?
It'll be interesting to see I'm assuming it's going to be Victor Oladipo versus Jimmy Butler matchup, so that'll be interesting to watch. As far as injuries, though, he may not be playing. He's day-to-day as of October 20th, when this game is tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see if he's healthy to play. Other than that, on Pacers side, Sabonis is also day-to-day. As well as TJ Leaf, so we'll see if those two will be able to play. But I have a feeling, given the start that Minnesota's had, the rather tumultuous start, I think Pacers find a way. I think this is their rebound against, or their prove-it game against, as compared to Milwaukee Bucks.
Words are hard. It's all right.
Yeah. I think this will show that they are a better team than what we saw against Milwaukee. So I think this is their redemption game. So hopefully they come out with a win. This will be Milwaukee coming home from their rather disappointing loss to Dallas and Luka Doncic. So they'll be looking for a rebound as well. But I think the Pacers will find a way to take home the victory. Mostly because of their bench.
That's what I was gonna say. I think the main key in this game will be the Pacers bench versus the Minnesota bench. Although I think it'll be interesting. I want to see how Corey Joseph handles Derrick Rose, who off the bench last night had, I believe, 25 points. He's been solid for them. Hey, maybe we get to see Keita Batesy up.
Yeah.
But I doubt it. But besides Derrick Rose, I'm not sold on anyone off that Minnesota bench. You got Josh Oak. I'm not even gonna try.
Okoye.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Is it Okoye?
Okogie. Okogie?
I say Okoye. That's probably what it is.
No idea. But I forgot they have a Luol Deng. Anthony Tolliver and then Gorgie Deng.
Actually, not poor guy. He got paid like $70 million.
Yeah, just to sit on the bench for the Lakers.
Yeah.
So, I think the Pacers bench. I think Tyreek will have maybe you could see a 20-point game out of Tyreek in this one.
Yeah.
Then Doug McDermott, it will blow past Luol Deng because we all know Luol Deng just needs to retire at this point. The starting lineups, though, I think you just have to keep Cat in check because he can go off any night. That'll be a huge test, I think, for Miles Turner. As you mentioned, the Victor Oladipo, Jimmy Butler matchup is going to be really fun to watch. Both.
Assuming Jimmy Butler's healthy.
I would think he would play, I would think.
Because he went down with
if he doesn't, I'm easily taking the Pacers to win this game.
Yeah.
Because, like you kind of mentioned, the turmoil that this team is in with Jimmy Butler and
the whole. He's really what's carrying them right now.
Yeah.
He's been playing very, very well.
And he shows that he was right when saying, you need me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the Pacers squeak out a victory. I think it's probably maybe a 5-6 point win, something like that. But yeah, this Minnesota team, like I mentioned, does love to put up points, so the defense will be tested in this one. The next game, when you looked at it, it was going to be a challenge, and still will be a challenge a little bit for the Pacers. They go to San Antonio and
we got a little bit of a road trip,
and have to see DeMar DeRozan and the San Antonio. That's so weird to say.
Yeah,
DeMar DeRozan and the San Antonio. That's gonna take some getting used to for me. But they do not have, unfortunately, their young point guard DeJounte Murray. He tore his ACL before the season started, so kind of unfortunate for the Spurs there. The Spurs, excuse me, will also kind of. We know the matchup, especially early on last year with that was kind of Vic's come out game when he hit that insane high arcing three over LaMarcus Aldridge.
That was at home, but yes, that was a very good moment.
It was at home. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, the Spurs right now are 1-1, and they will be playing the Lakers tomorrow, so it could be 1-2. And so it's going to be a tough game, obviously, having to deal with DeMar. But the Pacers, they've seen DeMar tons of times, so they know how to deal with him.
It'd be a very fun Vic versus DeMar matchup.
Then obviously I have to deal with Rudy Gay, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Pau Gasol. And so you insert Patty Mills into the starting lineup and replace it DeJounte Murray, Brian Forbes, I forgot they got Marco Bellinelli.
Yeah.
Bryn Forbes? Oh, okay. Davis Bertans and Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl was sent also in the DeMar trade.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, once again, the Pacers, I think this will probably be a theme that we talk about on most when we preview games. I think the Pacers bench will feast on the Spurs bench.
Yeah.
But I think DeMar and LaMarcus will keep this game close. I could honestly see the Pacers losing.
Yeah.
But I think the bench will do enough to where the starters don't have to. I don't want to say the starters don't have to have a good game, because they have to have a good game, obviously. But I think they pull through, and the Pacers win this game really close. Obviously, like we said, they know DeMar really well, so I think they get the win. Like you said, it's a coin toss.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a coin toss. I think we match up better with the Spurs than the majority of other teams because we know DeMar DeRozan very well. But I think LaMarcus Aldridge is that question mark. He could have a bad game, he could have a good game. Thad Young matches up really well with him, and that he can match him up in the post fairly well, and he can keep up with him in the perimeter. So it'll be interesting to see if Thad can make sure he does that. And other than that, they really have, I think, Miles and Sabonis should be able to take Pau Gasol to town. I don't know if he's probably old enough at this point to not be able to keep up with them. So I think that should be a moment of strength for us, our post game as well as our bench. And I think we take this. I'll throw a score of like 111 to 105.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be a really close one. Hopefully DeMar doesn't go off for like 40.
Yeah.
Like Giannis almost did. But see, that's the thing. Like if DeMar goes off, that I think we can maybe allow that, but don't allow really LaMarcus or anyone else to get going.
Yeah.
And that'll be really key for the Pacers. So we both are predicting 2-0. And I think we're gonna probably go 3-0 because the Pacers get to see.
Oh, I can't wait for this game.
The Tristan Thompson-led Cleveland Cavaliers, even though they're really not led by him at all. This, obviously, we love to see this matchup because, one, this will be the first time the teams see each other since Game 7, which LeBron, who is not there anymore, you all know that if you're just a casual NBA fan. And obviously Pacers fans know that. LeBron left, so this team is being led by Kevin Love and Cedi Osman. I can't. But what strikes me about this Cavs team, though, is I thought they would start Colin Sexton.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And over George Hill.
Yeah.
But
as
that
much
hasn't.
As I love George Hill.
That hasn't been the case. So the Cavs play the Hawks today, so they may get their first win.
I wouldn't be.
I really don't know. That's, I guess, a coin flip. But the Pacers should take this game, I would expect, by double digits.
Yeah, I want them to trounce Cleveland just for like not sympathetic, just for like redemption from the playoffs. I know it's a completely different team.
Oh yeah.
Let's just trounce them a little bit just to make ourselves feel a little bit better.
And just to put our name out there, especially for Tristan Thompson, who didn't even bother to mention us.
Yeah.
As far as competition in the East, he's like, oh, Boston and Philly. Did you not see the team that just gave you a 7-game series? And granted, Tristan Thompson did help them win that Game 6 and Game 7. He played a key role in that. But Vic will have his way with JR.
Yeah. If he's playing, he's only played in 1 game so far.
Has he really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he might be injured, but
who knows with that?
Could be Jordan Clarkson, could be George Hill, could be Colin Sexton, or Rodney Hood. So
obviously the key, keep Tristan Thompson off the offensive glass.
Yeah. Because
he loves to do that. Miles has kind of worked on and improved his rebounding, so hopefully
This will be a test.
Yeah, will be a true test, and then obviously Thad will have his hands full with Kevin Love.
Their leading scorer.
I mean, he basically has to be at this point, because I think Bojan and Rodney Hood's a good 3-and-D, so we'll see how Bojan does with him.
It'll be Bojan versus probably Cedi Osman. He's their starting small forward.
I'm using the reliable ESPN depth chart, and we all know how reliable that is. Yeah. So, is he really their starting small forward?
He's listed as a small forward, and he's averaging 34 minutes, so I would assume he's probably...
Yep, there you go. I was just looking at the depth chart that ESPN doesn't seem to update.
Yeah.
But I think, the bench, once again, as I said, kind of be a theme.
This team apart.
Because Tyreek will have his hands... or not his hands full, have his way, I think, with either Jordan Clarkson, probably. That'll be who he matched up against, I would think, if JR starts and then Jordan Clarkson.
Or something.
Kyle Korver won't be able to keep up with Tyreek. He's a knockdown shooter, we all know that, but...
defense was questionable at best.
Ante Zizic, Sabonis will... we're hoping that Sabonis, I would think, be back for this game by then. Sabonis will have his way. The bench will just have their way. And probably another Pacers win. So hopefully by the time we are recording next Sunday, the Pacers will be...
at least 2-1.
Yeah,
very worst.
The game we may drop would probably maybe be the Bulls. I said the Bulls again. I need to get it together. Yeah. The Timberwolves. I think that'll probably be the biggest test. Having to deal with Jimmy Butler and those guys. Yeah. But we're hoping they'll be 5-1, riding a nice 3-game win streak into next Sunday, when we're just going to be back here recapping and talking more Pacers basketball for you guys. Yeah. So I think that does it for today. The Pacers, when did I say they play next?
Monday,
tomorrow.
Monday night at 8.
Tomorrow versus the Timber Bulls, because we all know that's who they are. Yeah. But until next Sunday, for Dylan Deanhart, I'm Cody Emerson. Go Pacers.